Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fitaurus Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fitaurus. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this Saturday, we have Boss 101, the shoot 'em up about fighting random bosses. What kind of taste will we have? Let's get cooking and find out. So Boss 101 is developed by Donley Time Foundation, and it's a title I've been looking forward to for quite a while. I first read about it had to have been over a year ago, and the idea of fighting randomized bosses really intrigued me. So what do we have here? Diving into play, we've got 3 saves. I've already completed the story on the first save, and it was definitely worth your time, so if you do pick up this title, I would recommend playing all the way through the story. We'll be looking at save 2, which is basically starting from scratch, kind of. We have the command center, which I'll go over here in a second, but before we really go over the other options in the game, let's jump right into the game itself and see what we have. So, from this menu here, you'll go to Launch Game, and that'll take you to your stage select. Here's where you go and select which stage you're going to fight. And once you select your stage, you're taken to the Make a Boss. And this is the heart and soul of the game. Here you can make a boss, so you're not actually putting the parts on directly, you're hitting the Make a Boss button and creating a randomized boss, and those bosses will be thrown together from different parts, kind of based on the difficulty or level of where you happen to be through the course of the story, which is 31 stages, so there's a decent amount there. It'll take you 2 to 4 hours depending on how you choose to tackle the game itself. Each boss will have several different elements. There'll be a body, a top, a tail, dorsal side, the underside, and the head. There's also minions for the stages, and you can see their weaknesses. And based off of that, you would change your loadout to match. So let's see if we can't pick one that'll work for what we've got. This should work. Once you've selected the boss you want to fight, and the difficulty of the boss will determine how much money you get for completing the level, you can equip yourself to change your loadout to better match the boss. In this case, we'll put on a pistol that's better fit to fight the boss than the friendship gun we had. We can change our hats if we so desired, and the hats you can also, rather than have just one for like be both your cosmetic and your ability, you can have one just be your costume hat and one to be your ability hat. It's basically like a different skin, but there's so many of those. Once you've equipped yourself, you launch the level. And here we are against the boss. It's deja vu all over again. Yes it is. Actually, that's something I'll definitely get to here in a second. So in the base game itself, you've got this boss that you're fighting, and the boss will have all these randomized parts. So our Triceratops alien beam boss is equipped with beams, it's equipped with lightning guns, it's throwing scythes at us. This is a pretty cool Triceratops. Let's go and let's change our weapons. So by default, you always have your machine gun, but you also have a secondary weapon. And the secondary weapon is likely what you'll use against the majority of the bosses, as each boss body type is weak against 2 of your possible secondary weapons. And some bosses might be strong against the machine gun, whereas others aren't. The boss life is at the bottom of the screen. In most scenarios, you will have a timer. There are some hats that give you infinite time for the boss fights. So if you're having difficulty taking out certain bosses you're generating, either you can re-roll that boss, or you can try with a different hat that gives you infinite time, for example. You do get extra points for taking out the minions, so it's worth it if they're not too much of a hassle to shoot down to actually take them out. Now, there are not any power-ups or life that drop in normal circumstances. It is possible to equip the friendship gun, which, as you defeat minions, has a probability chance of leaving behind life ups. "I am the one who understands you," says the boss as he's defeated. Once you defeat the boss, you can get unlocked rewards, And we get our summary here. So, minor scratch, I did not take very much damage. The warp gate captured. Minions killed, which they fall from the sky and get cleaned up. And the boss reward itself. Also, you get a health bonus. All that is dumped into your actual bank. And we go back to the command center. So between the beginning and the ends of the stages, we have cutscenes that kind of give us a little bit of character and touches of the story. So here we have our main character, Max, and his robot friend slash jetpack, Steve, saying, "Cheers! Cheers! See, easy peasy. For now, don't go sour grapes. I know, but we have a long road ahead. Still, it's nice to be winning." Exactly. We'll beat them at their own game. Using their own gate system. Just take the thing a jump at a time. And reprogram it for our use, using their maker system. Ha ha ha! I love to be around when they figure it out. They know what we are up to. They do? Oh yeah, it's pretty obvious really. They have a rigid correction system, and we know exactly how hard we can push. Can't they just turn the system off? Doesn't work that way. The robos are in a process of expansion. This section of the jump gates is incomplete. This gives us room to act first. Comforting. Until we get close to Boss 101's base. Ominous. Maybe. So, Boss 101, in addition to being the title of the game itself, is also the last boss in the game. So here we're back in the command. We had a call, so I'm answering that first. Your hotline will give you calls that are give you a little bit of story going on. We'll just skip past it real quick and go over what else we have in the command center itself. So here we can go to Rob's hideout. Rob is another one of your companions, allies that help you out in your base. He's the black robot here. Up here you get little icons or stickers for the stage you complete, as well as some individuals that you rescue show up here as well. And there's also this do not press button. Do not press it. Just don't. We have the arcade, which is awesome. So this has 3 mini games that you can play, and especially the Breakout clone I think is really, really good. The Breakdown, you also have Tank War, which is very similar to just tanks, Mozart, awesome stuff. You have the Pet Heal, and this is something I really like about the game. So there's all these unlockable pets that you can get throughout the course of the game, and they're largely just present throughout the areas and the story bits that you show up in, but they're so cute, and it's really great to have them there. You've got trophies. You also have our main characters, Max and Steve. We have the ability to watch the cutscenes that we've unlocked. Kite flying, which just has this hill where we're philosophizing about life. There's a wiki if you need information about certain parts of the game itself. And Endless Boss. So Endless Boss allows us to fight against an endless number of bosses in either Arcade or Iron Bot. So Arcade lets us fight against the bosses just using our machine gun, and we pick up weapon pickups that'll give us a random one of the other weapons in the game, of which there are 14 or 15 if you've completed the game available, and also we have life pickups. Iron Bot will only be with what you have equipped, so it'll just be your machine gun and whatever secondary weapon you have equipped, and then of course you can equip your hats as you like. That's a great mode for grinding money in. In fact, before I started the game, or rather before I started what I did on the save to get it ready for this video, is I grinded out some money in the Endless Boss so I could keep the boss fights a little shorter. And then here we can go to the other rooms in the command center. So the launch mission sometimes will be replaced with other story elements throughout the course of your story. You've got the command, which is where we're at. Then you've got the upgrades. Here you can see which gophers you're missing. Gophers are little individuals that are in most stages that you have to rescue, and they're easy to miss. But this will show you which stages you're missing. Although from the stage select screen, you'll also see those gophers as well. You also have the ability here to upgrade your health, upgrade the bounty, which is the money multiplier for the bosses, increase the damage of our machine gun, which as you can see here, I've actually done that up to level 4 already. Get super weapons, the missiles, which I really haven't found very, very useful at all, so Unless you've got extra money at the end of the game, I really wouldn't worry about that. And then the debug store access, and that's like, especially after having played through and gotten that in my main playthrough, I would definitely recommend unlocking that after, of course, you have full damage and full health. In addition to upgrades, we have the gun shop, and here you have the 14 different types of guns, and each one has 3 levels. You're only able to buy level 1 and 2 initially, but like, that's a lot of options for your weapons. And some of them are more useful than others. Really, most of them I do like using, but there's one, like this gravity gun, I do not like. And maybe it's just because I've only used it in the arcade mode, and it's not awesome in arcade because of the way that the short duration that the power-ups work. It might be alright in a main playthrough, but bad experiences with gravity guns, just no. And then you have the hat store. Here we have all the possible hats that we have for sale, or some that we still need to unlock. And as you can see, there's 271 hats, really costumes, and it's almost mind-boggling how many different options you have here. I love it! Then there's the debug store, which we can't access right now, and the main menu. Real quick, we'll just take a quick look at some of the options that we have in under options. So of course you can change the volume of your music and your sound effects and set the resolution. Now 712 by 400 is kind of an odd resolution, but that was one of the recommended ones, so that's what we're going with. Full screen, VSync, you can change your difficulty. You have the options to change it from normal to easy or normal to ultra. Screen shake, vibration, hide cursor, which I probably should have that turned on. Inactive pause, dialogue sound, tutorials, the combat guide, and you can also change your keyboard bindings. Though they do recommend you play this with a gamepad. And the gamepad support is really great. I've chosen to play it with a PlayStation 4 controller, and it just feels really intuitive. So that's definitely a plus. So we'll jump back in the story and play through another stage or two real quick. So here's brother. He's got some problems. We were visiting him. He gave him a birthday present. He gave it back to us, and now we're filming a video. So one thing I do have to say is the game's pixel art is beautiful. Those bizarre boss creations that we get, I love how just weird some of these bosses really can look. So most of the time when you're at a stage, there's no boss to begin with. So you have to make a boss first. And then if you were to exit back out and go to the stores and you come back, it would still be that same boss. So if you say, I like this boss, but I don't have the right weapon for it, or I want to upgrade this, or maybe get some more money from the endless boss, and then come back and fight this boss, you can do that. So let's make our boss. We don't have a weapon that's effective against this guy, but I think, well, no, let's re-roll till we do have one that we have something that we're good against. And this one will totally work. So we've got... yeah, I'm not even sure what we have here. But let's go ahead and we'll change... the gun we have is effective, but we also have the ability to be effective with a shotgun. So since we used the pistol last time, let's go with the smart shotgun. And then we'll just change our costume just because we can. I changed the ability hat, my bad. So we'll have it be both, and it should work out just fine. Actually, no, we could totally be this guy. Let's be this guy. If you want, you can pull up information about the stage and the boss that you'll be fighting. So right now we have reduce laser damage, reduce all damage, prevent boss digging, make health pack. We have 20% chance of making health pack, so that's an effect that's really similar to the friendship gun. The boss can freeze us, and it has armor. Ooh, this one might actually be a tough boss. Sounds awesome, let's do it. And... launch level. So between the start of the stages, there's more dialogue and cutscenes here. Alright, sir, coordinates set. We're ready to send you to the next boss. Yeah, that guy just talks in numbers. It's pretty cool. He says they have good breakfast tacos. Oh, good. Something to do after we win. Punch it! Yes, sir. I like breakfast tacos. Made it, Ma! Top of the world! Only for so long, buddy. I'm sorry. So the machine gun, while it does deal out a ton of fire, it's really weak until you've upgraded it to the higher levels. So as you get further and further into the game, you'll encounter these environmental hazards, and sometimes they can be really problematic. This one's actually eating us up. We'll change to the shotgun so we can do some more damage against this guy. And hopefully, wow. We might lose this one just based off of those bees that freeze us. Our ability to get life might prove to be our win here. Die, minions, give us health. So those bees go up, then they come back down. It really, really hurts. So, as far as what can really kill you in this game, it's not so much the main shots and the waves of bullets that the enemies fire. They don't really deal a significant amount of damage. It's largely those effects that persist on screen, so like really large beams, like waves of fire, that sort of thing will ultimately be your undoing if you happen to have a weapon that like reverses your controls or freezes you in place so you take heavy damage while you're trying to get unstuck. That is definitely what I've lost more rounds to than anything else. So there's a frustration factor with that, unfortunately. Just a little bit more and tweet about my death! Well, I will in a sense. And that's level 2. And with that, you've basically seen what Boss 101 has to offer. You can launch some fireworks after the battle, which is neat. Another gate hooked up, 2 down. Wow, this can really work. Sure, the professor's on the job. He's locking down the gates as we go. The robos know what we're doing? Yeah. They're gonna see this coming. It won't change the outcome. Ha! Does anyone else think we're funny? No. And there we have it. Boss 101 served up for your enjoyment. So, minus flavors, unfortunately, especially by the end of playing through the story, once you've upgraded all the weapons and you're like a massive damage dealing tank, everything feels really samey, and the bosses don't really bring enough different each time. Some of them have really neat effects and like funny things, like they're throwing swords at you sometimes, or some really neat bullet patterns. But it's definitely, it just has that feel. The best way I can just say it is everything starts to just feel samey. There's not enough variety to what you're doing in this game. And also, another minus flavor, Gravity Gun, I hate it. Maybe I should give it a chance, but there's that. But as far as plus flavors are concerned, I love all the bizarre boss combinations you can get. Even if they do feel samey, the pixel art and just the way that everything is combined together, like just some really strange, hobbled together, like kid's toy, is awesome. I love that. Then there's also all the unlocks and items you can buy, all those different guns, all those different hats. That's definitely something that really makes the game shine, but it's really the bosses that I feel make it something special. And the story, while not necessarily for me, I think some people might enjoy the writing and the humor that's present there. It's kind of predictable throughout the course of it, but some of the characters I did like Boss 101 and his gaming buddy Mac, were enjoyable. The fact that we do have continued support for it with updates coming is also really great. And that also brings me to my final plus flavor. It's a great value. The game is only $10 on Steam, and it's really worth that much. So if you're looking for a fun, bizarre shoot 'em up, then this is definitely one to check out. It'll provide you at least a few hours of decent fun. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Gotta get this gopher going.